Look at capital. Right there.
Mr. Buckmaster,
Yes, sir.
this is State of Kansas versus Joseph Richard Buckmaster, case number 2023 TR 816. Mr. Buckmaster appears from the Judicial Center's Zoom location maintained by the Sheriff's Office. Joseph Favre as defense counsel, Brett Sweeney on behalf of the state. It does appear that this is a warrant to show cause matter. Case management system is down, as everyone knows. I have the original sentencing journal entry. And I have a warrant to show cause, but this dates back to June 5 of 2023. Is that what we're proceeding under?
That is correct, Your Honor, yes.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, that warrant to show cause alleges that the defendant had failed to pay his costs and fines and failed to report to his probation officer by missing appointments, as alleged by Mr. Bauer, who's on this meeting with us. What are your client's intentions here, Mr. Favre?
Judge, I've spoken to Mr. Buckmaster about the allegations in the warrant to show cause. At this time, he's going to waive his right to an evidentiary hearing and stipulate.
Very well. Mr. Buckmaster, you have a right to a due process hearing where the state would have the obligation of proving these allegations by a preponderance of the evidence. You could confront the state's witnesses unless good cause was shown, present your own evidence, and have the assistance of your lawyer. Among other lesser remedies, the court could consider just having you serve the remaining balance of your sentence locked up. Do you understand these things?
Yes, I do, sir.
And do you now intend to waive a hearing in this case and stipulate and agree that you committed these violations, which the court read off?
Is that what I'll do, Favre? Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I don't want you doing this, Mr. Buckmaster, because Mr. Favre tells you to, but because this is what you've decided to do. Is that?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the court does find that the failing to pay and failing to report are substantial material violations of the terms and conditions of Mr. Buckmaster's misdemeanor probation. And we will now turn to disposition. I'll start again with the state. Mr. Sweeney, your recommendations regarding an appropriate disposition here?
Your Honor, it's kind of tough to give a recommendation because there's not much that's really known about Mr. Buckmaster. It sounds like from speaking with Mr. Bauer, it sounds like not reported in 6 months of being placed on probation. He's got an 8-month underlying. In Mr. Bauer's calculation, he's got about 66 days of jail time credit. I have an appreciation, I guess, for his acceptance of, what he's done wrong in this probation. But I guess with no baseline and no reporting, I don't see really any chance for success unless I'm giving some information to the contrary. I would be fine with some modification of a sentence, maybe even somewhere in the 6-month range, with obviously time for time served, but given any additional information why this probation is going to be successful, I think a revocation and service of sentence is appropriate.
Understand, Mr. Sweeney. Mr. Favre?
Judge, yeah, this was kind of a tough one, and when I read this, I was kind of puzzling why it seemed like he had just a total lack of showing up for his probation. It seems like he walked down to probation after he got out of custody, and then he just did not much after that. And I don't quite understand it. I inquired of Mr. Buckmaster, and what he told me was essentially that he's been working with his dad, who's a contractor. He doesn't have a ride. He walks places, and he just did not walk to probation and did not make an effort to contact them, which I said, well, you've got to at least contact them. I don't know, if I recall correctly, Mr. Buckmaster did not have much of a criminal history, and perhaps he just is not fully understanding for some reason the requirements of probation. He has assured me, and I've laid out for him, I've said, look, if you're not going to do anything on probation, you can just, go and do your time and be done. But he's assured me that he understands. He would like to report now. He will report going forward. And so we're going to request the court give him an opportunity at that. It is the first time up, despite his poor showing. We're going to ask the court to give him a dip of 3 days, allow him to be returned to probation and report. He does still work for his father doing fencing, I guess with his father's contracting company. And so we think he has some value staying out in the community and doing that. In addition, he has, despite, these periods of inattentive, has not picked up new cases. It's not like he's been out causing trouble. He just hasn't shown up. So we're asking the court to allow him to stay out in the community and to work and to have a dip and then go back on with the understanding that he needs to really report now and take this seriously.
Thank you, Mr. Favre. Mr. Bauer, I wanted to ask you about something. And that is, if Mr. Buckmaster was having difficulty with transportation to do in-person reporting, would there have been some sort of alternative that you could have offered him?
Yes, Your Honor. We could have transferred to Sedgwick County. I could have worked with him on phone calls. He was actually told when he came into the paperwork, he was given my contact information and told to call me immediately. And he has never once contacted me.
All right. Mr. Buckmaster, at this time, the court will address you personally and ask you if you have any statements that you wish to make in mitigation of punishment here.
Like he said, I haven't been out causing any trouble. I've been trying my best, and it's been rough because, my dad started having problems with his vehicle and we couldn't get around to where we needed to go. And that's no excuse for not getting in contact with him. That's my fault. But it was just a stressful situation. But I'm ready to straighten it up if you allow me to. And possibly, get it transferred to Wichita would be a lot easier for me to report. I mean, I don't have a vehicle, I don't have a license, and to drive up here whenever I do have to report, that's kind of difficult, because my dad does work, so he don't always have time to be able to take me to go do the things I need to do.
Buckmaster, your statement to the court underscores why you should have been in regular contact and communication with your probation officer. Transfer to another county is exactly one of those things that you could have discussed with him. I don't think that the answer ever is, I just won't report because I'm in a stressful situation and my dad's truck isn't working. You get on the phone and you call and you ask for accommodations. And I'm quite confident that Mr. Bauer would have worked with you on it, but you didn't work with him. Man, now you're telling me that even though I placed you on probation in May, you haven't reported now, it's over 5 months, that all of a sudden you get it now and that you will report? Why would I believe you, Mr. Buckmaster? I placed you on probation after imposing a sentence of 8 months in jail. I am sure that I made it clear to you that you were going to be granted probation as an alternative to doing that jail time. That's what probation is, the alternative to incarceration. You didn't choose probation, you've chosen incarceration. And I understand Mr. Favre's recommendation to the court, and I'm pleased that you haven't been charged with new crimes, but this court is going to find that you have not made any effort to successfully comply with the probation. In this case, Mr. Buckmaster, I will order you into the custody of the Butler County Sheriff's Office representatives there at your location until you can be transferred to the Butler County Jail to serve the remaining balance of the sentence imposed in this case. This court at this time is not inclined to reduce the sentence in any way.
Can I say one more thing?
I will advise you of your right to seek parole under the misdemeanor parole statute of
Judge,
Kansas law.
Your Honor, may I please say one more thing?
You may say one more thing.
I don't have a good excuse to give you, sir. I don't. I mean, I know I messed up, and I think I was just taking it too lightly because I didn't see it as.
I would agree with that. that number one, you don't have a good excuse. And number two, you were taking it too lightly. And I
I'm-
guess I
and-
just don't understand that when you're given an opportunity for a probation community alternative, that you don't choose to comply with that. You would
And
rather
I-
do the time, Mr. Buckmaster?
Sir, I don't want to do the time. I bonded out and I put in 18 job applications for a different job in the last 2 days that I've been out. And I'm ready to take the steps. It wasn't intentional. I wasn't trying to just blow it off. And
It wasn't
I just-
intentional. Every
It
time
wasn't-
you decided not to contact your officer, that was intentional. And yes, I would
Sir-
consider that in the colloquial sense, blowing it off.
Look, when I
Call
say
your officer, talk to him on the phone, send him an email, do something or send him a letter, communicate your situation. And Mr. Bauer is good at working with his clients, but you got to work with him and you didn't.
I believe that he would be good with working with his clients. I do. And all I'm saying is, look, after so long, I've kind of just forgot about it, man. I didn't even think about it. I was just trying to stay on my feet, and just a lot going on. And I swear that if you give me another chance, I will report every time he sets me an appointment. Just give me a chance, please.
The court did give you a chance, Mr. Buckmaster, and you made the decision not to comply with the probation requirements.
But
You
I
made
don't choose.
you put yourself in jail, Mr. Buckmaster, and we're not going to argue about this anymore. The court's
Okay.
made its ruling. Your probation is revoked. You're ordered to serve the remaining balance of the original 8-month jail sentence that was imposed. It does appear that you've got some jail time credit. You're to receive credit for that. Mr. Sweeney, if you could include that in the journal entry, which stems from today, that appropriate jail time credit.
Yes, sir.
Again, I've advised the defendant of his right to seek parole under the misdemeanor parole statute. All right. No additional costs will be assessed to Mr. Buckmaster in light of the court's incarceration order, which does not include the ability for him to earn any income at this time. So those BIS assessments would be waived. All right. Is there anything else from the state's perspective we need to pursue here?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Or Mr. Favre, I think I've lost contact with the defendant.
I think I don't know. They went screen dark there. Judge, just to make clear, you did say you're not going to grant the state's motion or state's suggestion to modify the sentence at all. Is that correct?
Court has considered that and declines to
Okay.
modify the sentence.
Thank you, Judge.
Very well. There's nothing further than the Buckmaster matter is in recess.
Your Honor.